Hello, long time no see. Welcome to Bangers and Munch. This is the show where I, Munch, talk you through the bangers that are coming up this week in the LPL. Now, for this first episode, I'm going to cover week 1 and week 2 because week 1 only has 3 days, doesn't feel like a full week. I feel like we'll just combine these two together to make things easy. So, I'm going to talk you through the matches you need to not miss in weeks 1 and 2 of the LPL. Now, week number 1. We've got day number 1, right? I'm not really going to go into these ones, not necessarily on the banger list, but it's day number 1. They should be some fun ones. IG versus Weibo, it's the Shy versus Old Team, and EDG versus FPX. It's a playoffs rematch, so I feel like day number 1 is going to be fun. That'll be me and Orcs casting, so honourable mention to day number 1. But the actual bangers that I'm really looking forward to, and important series for the grand scheme of the standings, JDG versus Top Esports. Now, that's day 2, and it's the second series. Now, for anyone who's been living under a rock, anyone that hasn't followed LPL for the last few years, JDG and Top Esports have big-time history. Back in 2020, these two teams made it to the finals in both spring and summer. Both went to 5 games. Both teams took one of those finals. They had 10 games of finals, and they each took a trophy home. Insane year. It's Knight versus Yagao. These guys grew up together, literally went to school together. They were best buddies, and now they're rivals in the LPL. It's actually insane. It's like something out of a picture book, the story that these two guys have gone through. There's also 369 versus Wayward, both Chad top laners, giving off similar energy for me. Like, when I think about how Wayward and 369 play, I feel like that's going to be a banger lane. And then TN versus Kanavi as well, right? Two junglers that in their time have been considered the best in the world. Like Kanavi in 2020, a lot of people said he was the best in the world. TN, I think it goes without saying, World's Finals MVP. Our second banger is going to be Weibo versus EDG. Now, that'll be week 2, day number 1, the second series of that day. Now, Weibo vs EDG, not necessarily as like big picture banger as some of the other series that we'll see across the course of the split, but for me, this is a really important series because both Weibo and EDG, I think, fell a little short of what they had wanted, especially EDG. Like, Weibo managed to get top 6, but EDG really falling short in the second round of playoffs, something that I think a lot of people were very disappointed by. Both of these teams are going to have to prove themselves, but also, I think both of these teams could level up because of patch 12.10. For anyone that doesn't know, a lot of durability changes. Games are likely to be a bit slower. Both of these teams are happy to play slow and have AD carries that can be a giga carry, right? Viper versus Huanfeng is going to be an insane matchup. It's always an insane matchup, but now with this patch, I think that could level up even more. So that's a matchup I'm keeping my eye on to set expectations for these two teams for the rest of the split. And finally, the third banger that I'm going to talk about in this episode is another EDG matchup. It's EDG versus JDG. Now, this will be happening the second week, day number 5, and it's the first series on that day. Now, you know, it's funny. It's another EDG series. Shocker, if you win Worlds, we want to watch your series. Like, who could have seen this coming? This is a rematch from the spring playoffs. Now, this is not a rematch from the spring playoffs. This is a match that should have happened in the spring playoffs, except Weibo beat EDG 3-1, and then JDG beat Weibo 3-2. So this is the matchup that would have happened if EDG had played better during spring playoffs and had managed to beat Weibo. And I feel like this is an opportunity for EDG to prove themselves in that regard. But on paper, if you look at the most recent matches, JDG's the better team. JDG, I think, showing a lot of really great stuff in spring, and I'm excited to see what they can bring to summer. I hope that they continue that improvement, because I think on paper, when you look at this roster, they could be a top team. It's just never quite felt like they were at that level. Even in spring when they were playing well, I don't think anyone was expecting them to really upset the apple cart and make it to finals or anything like that. So I feel like JDG here to prove themselves, EDG here to show that they haven't just fallen off of the cart. But one of the big things as well on that third and final matchup is EDG. This is a weird one. I tweeted about this as well. EDG are actually going to have a 3-series run of the run that they would have had in playoffs. I don't know if I worded that correctly, but basically they played FPX in playoffs. Their first series of the split is FPX. They played Weibo in playoffs. Their second series of the split is Weibo, and they would have played JDG in playoffs had they won their second series. Their third series is JDG. So for me, this is also just the big EDG redemption arc to start off our first 2 weeks of LPL. Alright, I'm waffling at this point, so I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you tune it in to LPL. We start on the 10th. It'll be me and Orcs casting. Be there or be square. Thanks for watching. Bangers and Munch.